Back now to our other breaking news. The WHO declaring COVID-19 is now no longer being considered a global emergency. Joining us for more on this is Dr. Christopher Labos, epidemiologist and cardiologist. Thank you so much, Dr. Labos, for joining us on this. I want to get your reaction to this announcement today from the WHO.
Well, not entirely a surprise. I mean, I think most of us had expected this was going to happen. The last time the WHO committee met, roughly 3 months ago, we were seeing surging cases in China, and that's why the public health emergency designation was continued up until the current meeting, where now it's lifted. I think what's going to be interesting going forward, and what sort of gives me a little bit of pause, and I think for a lot of other people, is like, yes, I mean, we can make the case, I think, quite reasonably that the degree of emergency is no longer there. There is very little risk at this point that COVID-19 is going to be a massively destabilizing force that threatens the global community, the global economy. I think that's fair. The question becomes, how do you still address the fact that it's still important? It is still a disease that is circulating. It is now, unfortunately, endemic. A lot of people are getting sick. It's having a massive impact on the health of populations. So how do you make that sort of subtle nuance between maybe not an emergency, but still important? And how do we fight against one of the more important problems we have right now is, to a large degree, complacency. Because while COVID numbers are fairly low now, relatively speaking, to what they've been in the past, there is a very good chance that there could be a resurgence come the fall. There will likely be another influenza spike in the fall. We could have more RSV in the fall. So it's going to be a question of, okay, so there's not an emergency. What tools do we now have to still deal with something that might not be an emergency, but is actually still important?
And Dr. Labos, we should clarify for our viewers that the WHO, although it has ended the COVID-19 global health emergency, it says the pandemic is not over. So parse that out a little bit more for us, because this is something that people will assume is the same thing, possibly.
Yeah. And I think that's the real danger. I think a lot of people are going to interpret this to be like, oh, COVID is over. We don't have to talk about it anymore. We don't have to think about masks or indoor air quality. Whereas, well, no, I mean, all the issues that we've identified during COVID are still going to be here, right? We still have a problem with indoor air quality in a lot of our older buildings, especially in schools. We need to upgrade the ventilation status of our buildings. We need to clean the air in the same way that we clean the water. I mean, there's a reason why we don't have water-based outbreaks anymore. We don't see cholera outbreaks anymore because we treat the water. So if we start thinking about clean air in the same way, that is going to reduce the incidence of COVID, influenza, RSV. And so these are still issues that have to be addressed, and they're hard issues to address because it's expensive to upgrade infrastructure, and these discussions still need to happen. As a parallel, one of the other public health emergencies that is still ongoing is the polio outbreak. And there is talk about, should the WHO end the designation of polio as an emergency? And you get into these same discussions. Well, it's probably not an emergency in the sense that it's unlikely to destabilize the situation here in Canada and North America. And yet, polio is still an important problem. There are outbreaks still going on in many parts of the world, and we can actually eradicate polio. If we were to do just a little bit better with the eradication efforts that are going on, we could make polio disappear from this planet. So it's a question of, do we use the designation public health emergency as a tool to accomplish specific goals, or do we need something separate? And, I guess to a certain point, we're arguing about bureaucracy and designations, but designations matter because how you label things influence how people think about things. And I think it just gets back to the point I was trying to make before. It may not be an emergency, but it's still important. And there's still a lot of things that we could do to make everybody safer because, as much as you may want to minimize COVID and say it's just a bad flu, the flu kills thousands of people every year. We should probably do something about that. And prior to COVID, I don't think we fully appreciated how important the impact of air filtration and ventilation could be in minimizing the spread of COVID, influenza, and RSV in indoor settings.
Dr. Christopher Labos, epidemiologist and cardiologist, thank you so much for your insights on this. Thanks so much.